Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Dragon Age Origins. As always, I'm your Owen. Last time we finished off the last of our quests in Lothering and headed out into the great unknown, the rest of the area, and came to a camp where we learned that we're actually listening to the Archdemon through our dreams. We found a DLC I can't get, and we also talked to our new merchant and enchanter, which is cool. On this episode, we are going to talk to our various party members and get to know them a little better. Then hopefully move on to the next area of interest. So first, Morrigan, our love interest.
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
How did you become a shape changer?
I was not born such. 'Tis a skill of Flemeth's, taught over many years in the wilds. The chastened have tales of we witches, saying that we assume the forms of creatures to watch them from hiding. When a child is alone and separate from his tribe, that is when we strike, dragging the young boy kicking and screaming to our land to be devoured. A most amusing legend.
That does sound like something you do.
Oh? I truly doubt that children would be worth the effort. They are filthy, smelly things full of tears and snot and trouble. That said, I cannot speak for the tastes of my mother. She has, after all, lived a very lengthy time in the wilds and done many things I know nothing of. Why do you ask? Is there something specific you wish to know?
Um, do you spend a lot of time as an animal?
There were nights when the wilds called to me, 'tis true. You look upon the world around you and you think you know it well. I have smelled it as a wolf, listened as a cat, prowled shadows that you never dreamed existed. But my life is as a human. I am under no illusions to the contrary.
Now, you do have to be careful with what you ask in these situations, because you can actually lower your loyalty, I guess, your favor with your party members. So there are some things I will not ask. Like, can you change it to other human forms as well? I do believe that actually will hurt overall, and I really want to avoid that. I have never heard of magic like that before.
No? 'Tis not unheard of in the remote corners of the world. There are traditions of magic outside of the circle of magi, despite what those mages would have you believe. Some of these traditions are old, indeed, passed down as carefully guarded lore from one generation to the next. The zealots of the chantry would uproot all such practitioners if they could, but as luck have it, some still exist. My mother is such a one.
Um, hmm. That's good. Such traditions need to be preserved. See, I always kind of play a neutral when it comes to mages. I do understand why, knowing the history of magic in the Dragon Age lore, the use of the magic circle and the chantry to control them, control being a strong word there, I know, it is handy. However, I do believe that the Templars do overstep their boundaries from time to time and need to be kept in check. I think that, a little bit of mix needs to be done. However, old traditions from before the Chantry and the Circle of Magi, I feel are just as important as new traditions that are held today.
I am surprised you think so. Still, 'tis a pleasant thing to hear.
Can anyone become a shape changer?
Anyone with sufficient will, but the act of transformation is a magical one. 'Tis a spell and thus requires a mage's talents. If you had a notion to learn such a skill for yourself, sadly, you must remain disappointed.
Now, I already have the shape changer prestige class unlocked. I have romanced her before. And once you unlock it, it's unlocked forever. As you noticed, I had all of the rogue specializations unlocked, and I think I have all of the mage specializations unlocked. I'm missing one warrior specialization, which I really should look into getting, and I should look up. I'll probably do that off camera sometime looking up how to get it because it looks like it's going to be an interesting specialization, and it's in fact a specialization I plan on using on um, our new character, if not Sten, as well. That's all I wanted to ask.
Indeed. Have you an opinion on my abilities, then? Am I an unnatural abomination to be put to the torch?
Now, here's an interesting. That would make you angry, I think. Maybe tied to a flagpole and tickled, or I think your abilities sound quite useful. I'm kind of torn between. You know what? I'm gonna attempt this. This is probably gonna blow up in my face. Maybe tied to a flagpole and tickled.
I wouldn't advise it. But enough of such talk. Let us proceed, lest the dust gather on us.
Okay, we got +5 approval from Morrigan.
What do you wish of me?
Um,
If you must.
is there anything else to ask? Can you teach others? Did you grow up? Okay. Did you grow up in the Kokiri Wilds?
Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I?
I'm curious. What's wrong with that?
Any number of cats could inform you of the answer to that question, but have it your way. What is it you asked if I grew up in the wilds? A curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemeth's tales of the world of man. In time I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness.
I probably should put a little warning of this. I mean, it is it's almost 7 minutes in the video already, but this is going to be a very talk-happy episode. Like, I might even make this all one episode. So if you don't like character building, you don't like the story, character stories, you're more looking into just the game mode, then I'm sorry. Feel free to skip this episode. I'm catch the next one that comes around. But I kind of want to include everything in this game, so that's going to include somewhat of characters' backstories. Um, but you kept going. But you kept going back to the wilds?
Would you not do the same? Your world is an unforgiving and cold place. The wilds I hail from is home to me, and I a natural denizen. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemeth could never have prepared me for.
Very daring. That sounds like you.
Equal parts daring and foolhardy, perhaps. Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be travelling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped, and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally, he was arrested.
Oh, that was quick thinking.
Men are always willing to believe two things about a woman. One, that she is weak, and two, that she finds him attractive. I played the weakling and battered my eyelashes at the captain of the guard. Child's play. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting?
It's not human society. You're in Ferelden.
Yes, yes, some men have painted lines across the maps. I've seen them. I'm sure the human world is very diverse, but the differences are mostly meaningless. There were many nuances that Flemeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes, how to eat at a table, how to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemeth that I had no intention of leaving again.
Well, I'm glad it worked out this way at least.
Yes? Let's ignore the entire Darkspawn threat and the presence of a simpleton as your only other Grey Warden ally, then. Not that I lack appreciation for the intent of your comment. Thank you. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes?
And more approval. Yay.
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you
If you
something.
must.
Have you ever been hunted by the Chantry?
You are very cute to ask so many questions.
And you are cute when you're evasive.
Really? Perhaps we should be wrapped in ribbons and adorned with flowers. So cute are we, too. My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more.
You really had no trouble with them?
I am unsure. I was too young to understand, and perhaps 'twas bravado on Flemeth's part, or perhaps she was merely amused. I will never know. Flemeth would warn them once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemeth would use me as bait, a little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom.
Did you actually kill them all?
Me? No, I never did any of the killing until later. And even then, Flemeth was a glutton for that sort of thing. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere, and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum.
Do you still think that was fun?
I think that my mother made it fun so that a child did not learn to fear. And I think that it was necessary. There are no trials for apostates, no prisons, no mercy. There are only absolutes, so only survival matters. If the wilds have taught me anything, 'tis this. First, you must survive. Do you disagree?
You're probably right. No, absolutely. There are worse things than death.
Oh? I would ask what exactly, but I'm certain that would be a lengthy conversation, and suddenly I grow very weary. Enough of this talk. Let us return to the task at hand.
Ooh, I think that hurt. Yeah, that hurt. I should have agreed with her, but like I said, I kind of want to hold to my, my play style, who I am.
What do you wish of me?
Let's talk.
If you must.
Finally, is Flemeth really what she seems to be?
Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
Human.
Oh, she certainly was human. Once. Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
I've heard a little of it.
No doubt such a tale has mutated much over time and telling. I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire.
That sounds interesting.
As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful, a fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her.
Just how long ago is this?
Many centuries, before this land was even named Ferelden. The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the bard, and fled the castle of her husband, the Dreadlord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, My mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conabar the jealous lord, who looked on from afar. Lord Conabar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed.
He sold his wife to another man?
The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement. All would have been well had Lord Conabar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge.
So she truly loved Osen then?
That was not the point. Conabar had no honor, so she would not have him. Flemeth begged the spirits to aid her, and 'twas they who slew Conabar. The demon the legend tells of came later. Lord Conabar's allies chased Flemeth, you see, chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies.
Which, she never invaded, or he never defeated her?
The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
Legend tells of Flemeth having many daughters.
You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one, and these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed, so should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too.
Why would she refuse to speak of
The
them?
Chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts. It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well.
An interesting story. Thank you.
Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless.
My mother died. Recently, in fact.
Ah, then you have my sympathies for what it is worth. Which is very little, I am certain. It matters not. Let us move on.
So we actually got the same amount of approval that we just lost. I can check real quick. Our approval is, you see, just over. You can kind of see that there are hash marks in the bar. I do believe once we reach those hash marks, we get a special ability. I don't really know what is gonna benefit her the most. I do know that there's a quest item we're gonna need to get for her, and I will be hopefully getting all the quest items for all of the party members. So,
What do you wish of me?
but alas, I do believe that is all that we can
If you
ask about
must.
her. Yeah, never mind. I actually
What
used
do you
this.
wish of me?
What do you wish of me? I used that to test my audio. I'd like to discuss something personal. Now this is gonna be risky because I can.
We're in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so there's nothing else here. I can ask her why she's still here, and that will give me a chance to get rid of her if I choose to, but no. Alright, 20 minutes in, and I finished one party member. Oh, this is going to be a couple episodes. So, let's pick on a not so long-winded person. We have Alistair, Liliana, Sten, and Killer. Killer should be over here, yeah. These are fun. Killer has some interesting things.
Oh, why, you little...
What?
Your furry friend here took offense at me getting near his food. He snapped at me, look.
Well, he is a war dog.
Sometimes I forget that he's a war dog. That'll teach me.
I don't know if this is another way to get approval with your dog. Again, I have full approval, and I don't think I can lose approval with my dog, with Killer. But I've always found these to be
I
funny.
once heard a really old legend about how the hound warriors in the days of the old tribes would feed their Mabari the flesh of the vanquished. Well, that's what I heard anyway. It would sometimes be human flesh. Oh, like you can tell the difference. For all you know, maybe you've already been fed something. Someone.
I'd never feed you another human being.
It's not cannibalism if he's eating it, you know.
Maybe I'll feed you Alistair. I don't think you actually gain anything from any of the other followers, so it's more for humor.
Ugh, look at what your fool dog placed in my pack. A putrid, half-eaten hare is not something a woman wants to find in her unmentionables.
I think he thinks you need more meat on your bones.
I think I have enough meat where it counts, and I certainly don't need it in my pack. The dirty mongrel can have this back. There. And tell him not to do it again.
You heard the lady.
I don't want it, you worthless fur bag.
That dog is too smart for his own good.
He is certainly manipulative, I can tell. I do it too.
Watch Den and Killer.
You are a true warrior and worthy of respect.
And that was it. Trying to find a way through the earth, are we? Alright, have fun then. Yeah, and that's all it does. Fun little side mission, things to talk about there. Even meeting the dog. And we have... Dear Lord, he has so much to do. Oh, this is a quest in all its own. However, now that we did talks with Morrigan, when we return, we will talk with Alistair next, which hopefully will not take a whole video. Sorry if this was kind of a short episode. I don't really, and just in case it is, I don't want to start it and then get halfway through the conversation. So next time, join me as I continue meeting the rest of our party. See you guys then. Happy game.